Hello, Hojoz here, and welcome back to the Starfighter Competition Season 4. And today we are beginning with actually the Season 4 flight tests. And first of all, we have this lovely thingy, which is the beefy El Chupa thingy, which will be fighting, of course, our test aircraft, the HG-86 Longsword. And as you may notice already, my mouse is acting up a little bit, so apologies if I cannot get the camera angles required, because, well, my mouse is pretty much borderline new mouse at this point, because it's just constantly disconnecting from my computer. By the way, it's a wireless mouse, and it's just constantly disconnected from my computer. It just doesn't feel like responding sometimes, and that's not cool. Anyway, this is actually the first craft to be flight tested, which is why I'm doing my very long intro. And because, well, this will be at the beginning of the video which I will release of the flight test. Anyway, that out of the way, I guess it is time to start the competition. And let's see which takes off first, the El Chupa thingy or the HG-86 Longsword. It is actually the Chupa thingy taking off first. Shortly after they're followed by the HG-86 Longsword. And this is just, I mean, isn't it just an upgraded Trident? Isn't this just an upgraded beefy Trident from last season? I do most certainly think so. Also, by the way, I forgot to press F4. Oops. By the way, why isn't this standard anymore? Why aren't these distance indicators standard anymore? You have to press F4 to enable them each time you start KSP. Be infuriating if you ask me. Anyway, the competition starts, but it won't matter until we get into roughly 2500 meters apart from the other craft. I guess, well, this is a guns only season, remember? And, well, guess I'll have to do some filler commentary now. And I'm very excited for commentate the season. Very excited for season 4. I'm very excited to see how it's going to perform. But it's actually already the Chupa thingy's firing, and that's what are you doing, Chupa thingy? Okay, I presume it's it's just an advanced defense tactic, as it turns around to engage one of the longswords. Because, well, that was just, I have to admit, that was just really funny to look at. Anyway, we engage the Vulcans onto the HG-86 longswords, and let's see how long it'll take before the HG-86 longswords will be downed, as that's actually not a hit, and I was expecting a hit. Well, oops. Come on, man, you can aim correctly, right? I hope so. Yeah, yep. That's the tail gun, I think. Yeah, that's the tail gun. Yeah. So the tail's gone now, along with the pitch control surfaces. Basically, all that's all control surfaces are gone. So that 86 longsword is just doomed. As actually that Chupa thing is being solved by the healthy longsword. At least I presume it's the healthy longsword, because an unhealthy longsword can't do those things. Yeah, more firing on the HG-86 longsword, the healthy longsword, from what I can tell. And it is doing its 86 dance. Yeah, it's pretty much doing its 86 dance to try and avoid the Vulcan fire. Which, of course, it is equipped with M230s and not Vulcans. As there is actually a little bit of damage on the 86 longsword, as it is tumbling towards the ground, and there is more damage, and that's also the tail gun on that 86 longsword, as both longswords are looking pretty hopeless right now. Well, I say that, but this longsword is actually managing to get guns on this Chupa thingy. The anti-30s, of course, firing lovely in in a Barrage Falls mode. I mean, it's Barrage Falls, I love Barrage Falls, and from what I can see so far in my testing, it's actually the M230s which are better at consuming ammo, better at conserving ammo, sorry, not consuming ammo. As this tube thingy is now firing on one of the disabled longswords. And will it get some damage on it? The answer is unfortunately a no for the tube thingy, as its guns seem to be too far spaced out to get any hits on the 86 longsword, which is pretty sad. But hey, it happens sometimes. Let's see where this tube thingy is going. It's actually turning to engage that longsword. I have a slight suspicion that this thing has like 10 or 20 things, SAS units or equivalent. No, the inline reaction wheels, yes. The inline reaction wheels crammed into the craft, because, well, just look at the turning. It's just turning as weird. Well, not as weird, because it's well, a little bit milder, a little bit more conservative than the I have to remember the Kerbal from PFC 8, because yeah, it's pretty much reminding me of the Kerbal from PFC 8, because, well, it's just doing turns weirdly and in a manner which I have not seen from craft only using control surfaces. So it only can be, it must be inline reaction wheels doing this. As the H86 longsword here is just escaping the tube thingy's gunfire, but it's now coming back to it. But I guess it's just tumbling towards the ocean at this point. Which it is, as the first H86 longsword has been eliminated. And the second H86 longsword is also being engaged by a tube thingy. As well, this surely will be a victory and a flight test pass for the BVL tube thingy. As there the H86 engages one of the tube thingies, which appears to be suffering from a little bit of vibration, maybe a slight bit more of I'm going to look at the terms again. I'm sorry. No, that's the inline cockpit. Please, could you please allow me to look at your terms? Yeah, the steer damping, of course, yes. It will have to get a little bit more of the steer damping in order to get its guns a little bit more on point. Or at least that's what you see in one situation, as that longsword is just trying to engage the tube thingy, but is heading towards the ocean. And let's be honest here, it is just going to pull out. That's just an amazing thing from the H86 longsword. And to quote Crispynugget, it is not good, but it's resilient. It's just resilient. It just refuses to, it outright refuses to die despite just having 30 parts. And actually, just a thing to be proud of myself there, as the H86 longsword is desperately trying to avoid, as my mouse is apparently disconnecting. But hey, at least this is a stable position and I don't have to adjust the camera. And it's back again when I can actually adjust the camera, when I actually have to adjust the camera. But this is going into the ocean. And that is a flight test pass from the BVL tube thingy. Congratulations BV Flyer 1.4.1 for the first of your 2 entries passing flight inspections. I'll be happy to see the tube thingy battle in the 4th season of Starfight competition. And it'll be very exciting to see if it actually wins or not, like your BV Goshawk, which is about to go next. Let's get into the next clip. Up next then, we have the BV Goshawk Mark 230, also by BV Flyer, and it is the return of the Season 3 winner. As he said himself, actually, it was a bit of luck, actually a lot of luck, helping the BV Goshawk Season 3 spec, winning to win the competition. And to be fair to him, I just completely agree, because if you watch back, it's just a lot of luck and missile explosions on the other side that gained Beefy Goshawk that victory. And yeah, we'll be seeing it back for Season 4. And that's, I'll be very excited to see how it will perform in this spec using the MK230s, or well, the M230 machine guns, which are of course the 30mm turrets locked for Season 4 rules. As the craft take off once again, and it will be probably the Beefy Goshawk taking off before the H86 Longsword, which it has. And the second of today's craft sports a familiar shape, and to be honest with you, I very much like familiar shapes. I mean, why would I enter a lot of Charmanders into a lot of PFCs? I mean, there was one in PFC 3, there was one in PFC 5, there was one in PFC 6, and unfortunately PFC 7 didn't allow a Charmander to be built in PFC 8. Well, I didn't enter that one, sadly, because, well, missiles and such, and they weren't very friendly to me. Anyway, the Beefy Goshawk is turning around to face the H86 Longsword in a guns battle galore, which both of the craft, as you've seen from the previous flight test, sporting M230s, and it will be very interesting to see which craft will come out on top. But to be honest, I personally think that it will be the Goshawk prevailing over the H86 Longsword, because, well, the Longsword's pretty easy to beat. Anyway, there the Beefy Goshawks go with this M230 fire, with the barrage set to true instead of false. I mean, maybe that helps with ammo conservation, but I actually never tested that before, as I completely stumble across my words. And the M230s fire once more against the H86 Longsword, which does turn in time to face him to do a head-on, but as we know, in this version of BDAC, the AI doesn't prefer head-ons. So it will be another turnaround and another try for the Beefy Goshawk to get its guns right, on point, on target, and maybe even do some damage to the Longswords, as both Goshawks fire on one Longsword. But maybe a lethal mistake from the AI, let's face it. One of the Longswords is now uncovered, and we did see some gunfire there towards the Goshawk, so maybe it's even in a position to fire. As the other Goshawk opens gunfire on one of the Longswords, and it does really try to get a hit in, but just checking visually, it's not getting any hits, which is quite concerning for the Goshawk's cause in CFC Season 4. But I guess the Goshawk was never really made to be a gunsfighter, as one of the Longswords narrowly avoids crashing into the current terrain. And, well, that just demonstrates one of the H86 Longsword's flaws, doesn't it? As the other Goshawk, which we'll be shooting on with now, is firing on the Longsword and takes out its tail again. Because, well, let's face it, the Longsword's tail is just its weak point. And it's just so easy to blow off a Longsword tail. And that really has seemed to do a lot of damage to this Longsword, which is now only flying on one engine and has one control surface remaining. And surely that won't fly for much longer, as the Goshawk is turning towards the second of the H86 Longswords and fires its M230s in a lovely burst. However, it's a slight bit above and then a slight bit under the target, which makes sure that it cannot really get a hit in, at least at the moment, as they're actually one of the control surfaces I have to pursue pops and just gives up life. As that longsword is probably heading towards the other Goshawk and looking to do at least a little bit of damage before it inevitably crashes into terrain. But no, it'll be the Goshawk that gets on the tail of the longsword as it fires towards the longsword, as one of the longswords actually crashes into terrain, and that's surely devastating for the longsword cause. But hey, it's just a control aircraft to see if your aircraft can actually handle the pressure of CFC Season 4, as that longsword's tail has also gone, I have to assume. And it's actually, yeah, just a tail. And again, the control surfaces, I mean, is it just me, or does the longsword always lose its tail on control surfaces first? That's just a fatal design flaw, isn't it? But hey, test crafts are all about fatal design flaws, which the craft that are tested against the test craft will have to exploit in order to get the longswords down and crashing, as this longsword is inevitably spinning just because it doesn't have any control surfaces remaining. However, I do think that I at one point clipped in one inline reaction wheel, so that pretty much makes sure that there's at least some control remaining in the H86 longsword, as both beefy Goshawks have made a pass and are lining up once again for another burst of them famous 7-30 guns. As that is actually pretty close for the longsword. Maybe even the longsword could have gotten a little bit of damage on the Goshawk there, but inevitably a 2v1 will eventually see the longsword crashing down towards the surface, either because of terminal damage or simply because it flew a little bit too low while not having any control surfaces, as there is still no damage on beefy Goshawk and 230. And well, it is just a thing, isn't it? The Goshawks trying to take out the longsword, but simply because the longsword is so unstable, they cannot get a solid hit in. As this is the ideal camera angle from which we have joined in to see the H86 longsword suffer and tumble towards the ground, as it is constantly losing a little bit of attitude each time. And it's trying to get at least a little bit of damage on the Goshawks before it gives up on life and either kills itself by crashing into the terrain or gets killed by a Goshawk. As well, the Goshawk has enough fuel and ammo remaining to keep this up for a long while, and I doubt that the longsword will keep it up for much longer, as there is just 24 units of liquid fuel in that tank. That's a bit concerning for the longsword. Did I see some explosions there? Probably not, because those were far away from the H86 longsword, and there couldn't be decisive explosions at the very least. As well, the Goshawk is really trying hard to get that longsword down, but eventually it'll just come down on the fuel amount, because the Goshawk will probably have more fuel in the tanks as opposed to the H86 longsword, which is surely on some 15-20 units remaining. And that's just awful news for that remaining longsword, which is fighting damage and holding on, as it's very resilient, very resistant to giving up. It does not want to give up. Despite, well, half the craft being gone on that H86 longsword, it won't. It will never ever give up, because it still has at least some ability to get the plane into the air remaining, as those engines can still fire. But hey, I wouldn't be surprised if it runs out of fuel any minute now. mean, we have seen that fuel load. Let's look at it again. It is actually running out right this moment. And there it goes. All the fuel on the H86 Longsword has now gone up in flames, quite literally, and it is still trying to battle the Goshawks, but I think it's just going to plummet towards the ground, and there's not going to be much surviving. And as I said, not much surviving, since, well, the cockpit exploded to the ground, and there goes actually the rest of the H86 Longsword, very much burying itself into the ground, with the Goshawks suffering absolutely no damage, which means that it has passed the flight test. Both crafts from Beefy Flyer 141 passing the flight test, as I am not actually surprised by that. And we'll move on to the next craft, which has been made by JollyRogerAerospace. And again, just very excited to see it battle. The third craft for today will be JollyRogerAerospace's Dinky Decker, as well is very dinky and very Decker, as what? It actually lacks a weapon manager. It actually lacks a signal from the weapon. Okay then, I'll just find a way to make that work then. I'm sure the Dinky Decker will be able to fly, since, well, it has a weapon manager, at least it says so here. I mean, what? Okay, this just confuses me. It very much confuses me. What also confuses me is that JollyRogerAerospace is also the only guy actually using radar on both his craft. Which, well, he said to me in the DMs that he likes to have radar. Well, if he likes to have radar, that's not my problem. But yeah, this the Dinky Decker, which is of course a very tiny craft, powered by 3. Or wait, yeah, just 3 Tiger engines, and very obviously placed M230s, as JollyRogerAerospace of course prefers the M230s. At least he does now. I don't know how it will be in a month or two. As craft take off, and it will be very difficult to switch craft here. So I guess I'll just have to stay on board with this Dinky Decker for now. To make filming a tiny bit harder, but I'll find a way past it as they both take off. And it's time to see if the Dinky Decker will be able to beat the H86 Longsword. Which, if I'm honest with you, well, this is JollyRogerAerospace, so it'll probably just be able to beat the Longsword easily. But it could also turn out the other way. And this is why we, of course, conduct our flight inspections. As Dinky Deckers turn around and will try to engage H86 Longswords. And I'm not actually sure if the H86 Longswords are aware of the Dinky Decker being an active threat to them. But it certainly does look like they are aware of the presence of the Dinky Decker, as there the gunfire of the M230s go. And it is time to engage. Let's just see. Now it's not really turning. It is now turning towards the H86 Longsword. As I take a drink, because, well, we are far out of gun's reach at this point. As they open up again and try to eliminate the H86 Longsword right in front of us. But the H86 Longsword has other plans and fires its guns too, in order to deter everyone from trying the head-on. As that Dinky Decker is actually... Wow, I thought that Dinky Decker was surely chasing the back end of that longsword, but apparently it wasn't. But hey, that distracted the longsword enough to allow this Dinky Daka to have a nice opportunity to eliminate the H86 longsword. And it really does look like the bullets are just missing. Of course, very unfortunate. But the fact that it's just missing will mean that it'll hit eventually, and as the hit is coming into resistance and eliminates that H86 longsword from what I can see, the Dinky Daka readings on the versus tab come back, and well, let's face it, that's pretty handy for filming, as this Dinky Daka is mounting another attempt on the H86 longsword's life. And that longsword surely doesn't have long to live now, as we come within 1,000 meters and choose to not engage any further because we're pretty scared that we will run into non-existent mountains. Let's see how the other Dinky Daka is handling. He is also just disengaging that longsword, but that means that one longsword has actually having free reign. But oh, it also suffers its very familiar looking tail damage. Huh. Funny. But yeah, it's getting on the 6 of this Dinky Daka and hoping to do some damage here. As Dinky Daka will be, of course, trying to avoid. It's not really actively trying, as if you ask me. There are some bullet holes appearing, but I am not very concerned about the Dinky Daka's life here, or the Dinky Daka's ability to win. But yeah, this longsword is really sticking on its tail, despite the damage, as my mouse is malfunctioning there, which makes me sad, of course. Oh, the longsword actually preferred another target, as my mouse is again just fucking over. And it's actually this Dinky Daka engaging the other longsword. It's the same tail damage that is oh so familiar for a longsword to suffer from. And the Dinky Daka flying away from both the longswords and seeing if it can turn on them once more. As the other Dinky Daka is already firing towards one longsword. Of course, the longsword with the tail gone, being more maneuverable and more being better at avoiding bullets than an H86 longsword that is perfectly healthy. As now the other Dinky Daka is firing, but also misses and doesn't do any damage from the H86 longsword, as that one may be heading towards the ground. That's fine, board. No, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. And just pulling up now, and it's heading towards the flat area, so there's really no concern there. As this longsword, also suffering from the tail damage, is now... It did actually do some damage towards the Dinky Daka, taking out one of the Tiger engines. Oh no, oh yeah, that's actually a wing. Now, Dinky Daka, I will be very concerned for my life at this point. I'll be very watchful of that longsword fire on your back. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, that's maybe not long for this world. Let's see if the other Dinky Daka that's still perfectly fine will be able to take out the longsword that is not perfectly fine anymore. As that Dinky Daka heads towards the ground and does a landing that is perfectly fine because the pilot still survived. But won't be long for this world, as it probably will crash. Yep, there it goes. It crashed. So yeah, this longsword. Come on, man. It's a 2v1 for you, Dinky Daka, but you don't have any damage. Surely you'll be able to take out the H86 longsword, which is pretty heavily damaged. Come on, man. Just align your guns. I know you can do it. Or just drive it into the ground, because as it actually appears, as it actually is, it's very easy to drive H86 longswords into the ground, but I'm noticing a apparent lack of ammo there. Oops. And yeah, it's actually the longswords that are going to outlast Dinky Daka. Ooh. This has not had the best of the best of flight tests. As what? What? Okay, now that. Okay, now that is just astonishing. Okay, come on, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, what? This thing was on the ground a moment ago. I just thought, well, let's check the cockpit and fly along, I guess. Okay, that's pretty funny. Yeah, that is pretty funny. And on Dinky Daka, don't have much more fuel remaining. I'll be watching my fuel at this point. Yeah, I wouldn't engage afterburners at right this moment. Ah, that's pretty unfortunate. You ran out of fuel. Well, it is actually the Dinky Daka that is going to fail flight inspection, since both of them are flying, but let's be honest here. This one's killed, and H86 longswords are still flying and perfectly fine with fuel, while the Dinky Daka has an apparent lack of it. And yeah, it's maybe even going to get torn to shreds here. Wow. Torn to shreds here by the gunfire of the H86 longswords, which have lost their tails. But eventually it doesn't matter, because one burst is all it took. One of the longswords to apparently just crash into the ocean. Well, now it's going to be pretty difficult to draw a conclusion from there. But hey, JollyRogerAerospace has yet one more chance remaining to get his craft right for flight inspections. And well, if he doesn't want to do that, I'll just enter it like this, because, well, let's be honest here. Dinky Daka just had a little bit of bad luck here, as well, one of them got taken out, and the other ran out of fuel, ammo and fuel actually, as this HC86 longsword is also just flying towards the ground. And yeah, that's going to be it for the Dinky Daka's flight test. It's a very unfortunate pass in terms of general flight abilities, but a fail to beat the H86 longsword. And for the final craft of today's the CFC Season 4 flight inspection video, we have the Skeletor, made by Crispynugget. You know, that Season 2 submitter who was kinda crappy. Well, he's come up with an interesting craft again, which has managed to fail flight inspection, or no, even tech inspections for 3 or 4 times now, I'm pretty sure. But now that finally it is up to CFC standards, it can finally battle the H86 longsword in my CFC Season 4 save as the final battle of today's video. Let's get it underway. And this is just one of those more interesting crafts, isn't it? One of those special crafts. And it actually takes off before the H86 longsword, which I was expecting, seeing as those 4 engines mounted on the Skeletor are on an angle, and then we also have 2 more Tigers, but we don't care about them. I mean, this 6-engine craft, it's just, I mean, what is this? This is mental. And I'm also assuming that that's pretty much the maximum turn rate. And to be honest here, that's pretty crap turn rate. Well, unless he has reaction wheels crammed into there. It won't get any better than that. As we start the competition. And yep, it's horrible. It's horrible at turning. Oh god, this is what you get when you have to remove a lot of parts from your now 83 king parts craft. I mean, if that's not impressive, I mean this thing was 96 parts at one point. I mean, if that's not impressive, then I don't know what is. As it is time to engage on the other Skeletor, engaging the HG86 Longswords, and oh boy, it's gonna take a whole heap of time before this one gets turned. Oh god. I mean, the minimum attitude on this thing is 500. I'm pretty confident that if it pulls up at 500, this thing just crashes into the ground at 45 degrees or something. Its nose at 45 degrees. Oh god, this is just, yeah. It's actually pretty defeatable too. I mean, that was just one gun's hit and it's pretty much the entire craft. The entire center of the craft is now gone. Oh boy. It ain't gonna be good, this one. This is the most awful craft I've seen. And that's counting the Season 2 submissions from Crispynugget. Jeez. This one is going to get turned. Yeah, the other Skeletor also just crashed into the... Yeah, that is really just the most horrible plane I've ever seen. That's just unacceptable. I can't accept this into my competition. I mean, okay, I did accept an entry, which you'll see in the next video, but I can't accept this into my competition. Jeez, that was bad. It was really fucking bad. That was awful. That thing really needs more control surfaces, mate. I mean, that thing turns worse than the HG darts. Which, y'all PFC 6 fans, you'll remember the HG dart as the least maneuverable craft to have ever fought in PFC. And this is less maneuverable than that. It's absolutely horrible. Anyway, with that out of the way, it is time to get to our lovely outro, which is Bureaucratic with Boys Bob.